Oh. All right, we'll call the Waseca County Board of Commissioners meeting to order. Everyone would like to silence their cell phones and still.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
All right, good evening, everyone, to our one and only evening meeting of the year. We will start out with public comment. Is there anyone here for public comment? Public comment. Right, if not, we will move on to the approval of the agenda. Do you have any additions, Commissioner Krause?
No, sir, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Moffett?
No, sir, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Harden?
No, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Milburn?
No, sir, Mr. Chair.
Nothing from staff or administration? Okay. We will look for a motion to approve it as presented.
So move, Harden. Second, Milburn.
Seconded, approve the agenda as presented. Discussion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. We will move into ditch authority. Determination of benefits and final hearing dates.
Good evening. We are seeking approval and acceptance of the final hearing notices that I passed out to you on my way in over County Ditch 18, 33, 40, and 42. They're the public notices that will get mailed out and published for the final redetermination of benefits hearing. And we are also asking you to set the final hearing date of February 22nd, 2026, or February 2nd, 2026 at 10 a.m.
10 a.m. or after.
10 a.m. or after. Is we'll run in succession after the drainage redetermination that we approved this morning. It'll begin at 9 and the series for county ditches will begin at 10.
Okay. If I would look for a motion then to approve. Can I do these all as slate, all of them together? I would look for the approval of final notice of final hearing on 18, 33, 40, and 42. And a final hearing date of February 2nd at 10 a.m. or after. Do I have a motion?
So moved by Krause.
Is there a second?
Second by Walter.
Been moved and seconded to approve the notice of final hearing and the final hearing date. Any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Approval of county board minutes. We have county commissioner work session, December 2nd. County board meeting minutes, December 2nd, and our special meeting is from December 10th. Everyone's had a chance to look at those. I would look for a motion to approve as a slate.
Milburn makes that motion.
Is there a second?
Mulder seconds.
It's been moved seconded to approve as a slate. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Consent agenda. Approval of bills, year-end check run, special check run, year. Transfer of funds, IT. Transfer of funds in land and water. Waseca County's 2025 HRA contribution. November 2025 monthly electronic funds transfer report. And then the approval of 2025 second half residential tax abatement payments. Is there any questions to the consent agenda? Unless I would look for a motion to approve that as a slate.
So moved, Parker.
Second by Krause.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda as a slate. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Action items, transfer of funds. Which systems?
Right. Ditch accounts are not allowed to have negative balance at year end, and at this time, there are 6 ditches that may or could have a negative balance by year end. We are proposing to transfer $124,000 from the general fund to Fund 41 to cover anticipated cost in the 6 ditch systems that you see before you. And I just wanted to note that 5 of those are currently in redetermination, and there's expenses coming to them that they can or may not be able to pay before the year end.
Okay. Seems like getting down to it here. We are we looking for an actual amount?
24,000.
100.
124,000.
Here you go.
49.
Okay, I am on the right
You're
spot
right.
then.
Yes, it's
Okay, there's the total. All right. So we're looking for a motion to approve the transfer of funds of $124,000 to, so we don't have any negative balances as of year end in our ditch system. Do I have a motion?
So moved by Krause.
Second by Milbreth.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the $124,000 transfer. Any discussion? And since I was scrolling through trying to find it, I don't know if you said it or not, but that's a worst case scenario number, right? Or is that what you do just to make sure that it? You said there was some possibilities.
Well, some of those funds right now are actually positive,
Yeah.
but we may receive some bills after the first of the year, 2025, that could bring it to 2025. So we are, we don't always know the exact cost of our viewers, engineers, attorneys, and so if those costs come in the middle of January, and we apply those costs back to 2025 fiscal year, it could bring those accounts into the red. So they're a little bit bolstered, for a lack of better terms, or a little bit of a safety net to that, but it will be paid back later in the year.
Is there any other questions for Chris? If not, I will ask the question. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. We're looking at E. Purchase of additional 911 dispatch console and relocation of existing consoles for future building.
Yes, good evening. This request comes in front of you with the new proposed Justice Center moving forward. We currently have 3 dispatch consoles, and with the new design, we'll be having 4. Our current consoles are in good working order. Our plan is to move forward with transitioning them into the new facility, and we will need a 4th station. And doing so, we'll have to purchase one by the end of the year to have the same make and design. The company that we purchased from before is discontinuing our current design that we have. But if we order before the end of the year, we'll be able to get one that functions exactly like we have and is the same color scheme. And so I propose that we purchase one ahead of time. We can order it, have it delivered here on site, and keep it stored here until we're ready to install it into the new Justice Center. Part of the cost will includes not only the purchase price of the new console, but also includes removing the existing ones when it comes time for moving from the existing building to the new building. It includes the cost of transferring that equipment into the new building, setting it up, and installing and setting up this additional 4th console. And it also includes covering the warranty and any problems with the new console.
So authorize the purchase. Okay, so we're looking for a motion to authorize the purchase of this additional console. And total cost of, is that a total estimated cost?
That is the total cost of the 63.
63,150.
Yep, and that includes the cost of the new console. And then when the time comes to make the move from the old sheriff's office to the new judicial system, I'll be moving everything from the old to the new, setting it up and warranting it. And that purchase has to be done by the end of the year. If not, the color scheme and design changes.
And where, is that coming up? Where is that money coming?
That money will come from the 911 funds.
Okay.
So we have money already available to make that purchase that will not affect the budget.
Oh, yeah, there you got it. You got the whole 911. All right, so we would look for a motion to authorize the purchase of the additional console. Dispatch console. Motion. Or.
But I don't know if we need a motion to discuss it or not, so
Well,
I'll make a motion that
yeah,
I'll take it into discussion.
okay, let's do that. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded. Discussion.
My question, and Jay, you may not be able to answer it. When we purchased those 3, we purchased them for $77,800. And we're purchasing one with the transfer of everything for 63. These will be almost 5 years old by the time we move into the new building. Do you think we should just hold off and just purchase some new ones once the building's up? I understand they probably don't make this design, but they'll have another design that they can come up with that would fit. And, you know, our installation of the 3 was $12,000. That's what they charge. So I'm just throwing it out, just thinking 63 seems like a high number for one installation.
Just to clarify, the actual product is 22,000.
Correct.
So the console itself, we are in effectively prepaying for installation services in the new building itself. So it's 5 installations total. They're installing this one when it gets here. They're deconstructing and moving all 4 when that building is completed and then reinstalling them. So it would be 1 additional installation.
I'm just wondering about the wear and tear, the use of it now, and if they're discontinuing it, are we gonna be able to get parts after that time?
Go ahead, Brian.
From my understanding is, they're not discontinuing the model, it's just the color scheme is going away.
What gets outdated in these consoles?
The parts just wear up and down,
Okay.
There's more, fan motors.
Yeah.
In them as well, but yes, they're adjustable, so. Not only do the shelving, the counter go adjustable, but there's monitors that go up and down. And there's fans that are in them as well.
And the life of them, expected life of them is, you have any ideas?
I don't know, I don't have that, it's,
Mr. Chairman, the last ones we purchased when we redid dispatch lasted probably 8 years before we started having problems. And then we couldn't get parts one very long. That's when we evolved into something like this.
And you say they're a couple of years old now, so what you're saying is
Well,
they're
they're-
5 years old once we go. Yeah.
they're at least five years old.
No, they're all the 22 we got. They were installed in 22. And the 23 years. First part of 23, I apologize.
But they were installed before then. So they were installed before I took office.
Must have happened kind of in between then. Because that's when dispatch was downstairs for a few times, but I thought it was the end of, maybe it was the end of 22, first part of 23, but they've been in for a while.
Yeah, we purchased them in the middle of 22.
Yeah.
Average life is 7 to 12 years.
You gotta remember they're used 24/7.
Correct.
That's
what it says.
So we normally have 2 people on in dispatch. So do they use the same councils all the time? Or, and there's 4 councils, but there's only 1 or 2 people there at a time
We have 3 councils,
right now, but we'll have 4.
yes. And so they do not use the same consoles. They get changed and moved about daily, depending on who is positioned where when someone else is work. Everybody has their favorite chair, favorite spot that they work in, and so sometimes they have similar spots that they like, so they just sit down in open console when they come to work, so they don't always sit in the same spot. And so the consoles are adjusted, monitors are adjusted for height level, multiple times a day or shift.
So there's 3 now, we would be moving to 4.
Correct.
Okay. So if they're 22,000 now, the new ones are probably gonna be 30. So easy math, there's $120,000. Plus the installation of 37.5 to probably 40,000, now you're at 160. For 4 new ones in 2 years. And we might as well buy 2 of these. And keep 1 extra somewhere for the family,
Parts.
for the parts.
Well, I don't think their installation is gonna be that much, because they're taking down and putting back up.
It's right there, 37.5.
Yeah.
That is to move them from the old
Yeah.
building,
If
transfer
you
them.
buy new, it's 12,000.
Because you're not there.
So you're not taking them down.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're not taking down, not putting back.
Right.
In the color scheme, if we went to a different building, I mean, if we ordered new, we could probably match it up to the color scheme that the new building. I don't think they're not gonna jump quite that much. Maybe not.
We don't know if the, parts availability is,
I'd have a hard time getting rid of 5-year-old consoles, just anticipating them going out of business. I'm always kind of in the camp of wearing something out before you replace it. Go ahead.
A question, a point of clarification. Right now we have 3. Are we gonna install this new one in our current space, or are we gonna just sit on it?
we're going to sit on it.
Okay,
We will not install it.
so this is so this 37,000 is to move 3 and install 1.
Install 4. Remove 3.
Remove 3, yeah, Yes.
Fiber, which was wrong, install it before.
okay.
And this company won't like this, they've been around forever, they're anticipate that, I'm just wondering about parts and as they wear out in the warranty and stuff.
So we'll effectively be halfway through the useful life, even on averages, it sounds like. Assuming there aren't any delays from a construction standpoint, so it seems a pretty small risk in terms of. I'm guessing in the future, you're not going to replace one at a time. It's going to be a holistic gut and reinstall. So knowing that, so the fourth one, the expansion is for continuity of operations, right? It's our joint powers arrangement with Blue Earth.
Correct.
So it isn't as though we're consistently using 4 on a daily basis. So that'll spread the sum of the longevity out a little bit, I would think. And in all reality, in 2032-ish, we're going to be looking at a complete replacement again.
Good. Either one of them. How comfortable does this company feel that move would be to dismantle those, take them down and put them back up?
The company always makes you promises, but we all know when you start moving things, what happens, so. You know, they did indicate, we did look at, another option of, is there a cheaper way of moving them, transferring them, but it's electronics. It's not a practical or feasible way to do it when you start moving technical equipment, with electronics, the fans, the motors. So there's no other option, realistic option to move them other than to have a company. It is a significant cost to transferring the 3 existing consoles and setting them up along with the new one.
Plus, if we dismantle and move them ourselves, as Jay stated, it nulls the warranty on it, so you no longer have it.
Yes, we'll still have some warranty in 5 years, or when does the warranty run out?
That I don't know. We just stated that when I was discussing with the owner or the salesman, that if we move them ourselves on that time frame, it will null the warranty. And we won't have any warranty on the existing consoles that we have now.
Yeah, if someone else touches them, there's no warranty.
Any other questions? Or to, put just the 4th console and relocating fees
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Aye. Roll call?
Harvick,
No.
Milbrook,
Yes.
Walter, yes. Rosen,
Yes.
Christopherson,
Yes.
motion carries 4-1.
Sheriff, you. Right, resolution 2025-53, establishing 26 county attorney office.
All right, good evening, Supervisor Commissioners. So annually, the board is required to set the salary for our county attorney. Our process has been that the county attorney meets with the personnel committee and looks over benchmark data, discusses just things that are happening in the office, and they come up with a recommendation. And so that meeting has taken place, and there is a recommendation out there. If you want me to say it, or if you want to talk about it a little bit.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Maybe I'll interject or will interject if you say it wrong.
Okay. So the recommendation is 5% at 154 for 2026.
And that was, looking at comparables to counties and talks with Rachel, and that's where we landed, I guess. So I would look for a motion.
I would move a 5% increase for the county attorney.
Rosie will second that.
So let's. Do we want to put that number in the resolution?
I will do that. Actually, I have a draft here with that number already.
All right, but we don't need to put that number in there before pass this resolution.
It would be best.
I think so too, so we know that what the actual number is. Or if you can at least tell us what that number is.
It's 154,000, and I do have a draft of that.
Just to clarify, Mr. Chair, the recommendation was for approval of resolution 2025.
It is.
Thank you.
Was there a second?
There was a second by Krause.
Okay. Then moved by Commissioner Malter, second by Commissioner Krause to approve resolution 2025-53. As stated,
What's the dollar amount?
154. It's just a tick over 5%.
Okay, all right, thank you.
It was just a rounding thing, a few dollars. It didn't kneel 154 exactly, 5%.
It's like $18 different.
Yeah. Any discussion?
So I know that HR and the Labor Committee worked on this as well as our county administrator. And we grab data from like counties that are similar to us. And you try and land at a happy medium for what you would call the population, or who's under them, or, you know, as their department head, and how that all works. Also, you have the employees that are receiving 5% this year also. So that's, I mean, is this kind of modeling that, or did it model it because of the like counties for?
I would say some of both. You know, the old saying, when you've seen one county, you've seen one county. Comparisons between counties, as you know, because you've been on the personnel committee, can be very challenging. But, because we're small and we know what Rachel does, and she does a lot. And, and when we looked at, comparable counties, we considered both. How does this compare to other county attorneys with population similar? And we also looked at workloads, direct reports, other engagement that she has, not just within the community, but professionally, because she certainly leads some places in the county attorney world very well. And so we looked at all of those kind of things. And then we also did consider what our unions settled for. So they were all parts of the discussion.
And were we behind on any of this? Were we lapsed, or were we behind on what the county attorney was making?
Depends
That's
what you
a
ask.
that's a different opinion from.
Well, I mean, it's a
When you look at-
everyone sitting here, that knows that 5% on $150,000 is a lot different than 5% on someone making $60,000.
Absolutely.
And if you do 5% in 10 years, it's 50% increase.
One other factor that we considered was the comparison that is not a direct comparison, but with public defenders. Because if we don't pay our county attorneys enough, they go become public defenders and make more. And so we do have to consider the competition when we make these
I
decisions.
understand the private sector is going to pay higher.
Yeah.
I have no idea what their benefits are. And I'm not saying that you didn't land on a good number. Don't get me wrong. I'm just trying
It's
to
okay to have the
justify
numbers.
this over time.
It's okay to
You
ask.
know, because I think was clearly stated before, you can't give a farm.
Yeah.
And I don't think we do. It's always negotiated to a number that is probably happier by the personnel committee than the individual that's asking. And once again, you have elected officials that are not hired. If you were to put this in the paper, those constituents that hired the elected individual, what would they say on a poll? So there's some differences here.
We actually
That's
had
why it takes a while to get this done.
We actually had that discussion at personnel too, that elected officials, whenever salaries are set, that is always part of the discussion is, if you're gonna run for reelection, how do the constituents feel about that?
Just to clarify, public defender, you're talking the ones that are hired by the state, not local laws, right?
Correct.
Okay, yeah, I wanted to clarify.
Yeah, he said private sector.
But even if you were, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yes,
State too.
thank you.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion? If not, all in favor, say aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, resolution 2025-54, establishing 26 county sheriff's salary.
Okay, Mr. Chair, so this same thing kind of applies here for the county sheriff. We have met with the sheriff a couple times actually, and ran through the same numbers, comparables with other county, compared to population, just many factors that we can look at. The recommendation that is being brought forward to the board today is an increase to 144,761 with and that's an 8.56% increase.
To explain that, using those same comparable counties, when you look at the number there, the sheriff is under the average as far as comparable counties. So that's why we started out with the 5%, assuming most sheriffs will get in that 4 to 5 increase, or it's been kind of a 4 to 5 increase annually across all counties. And so comparing that average of like counties, we're a touch on the light side, and that's why the extra was added over the top of that 5% was to get in closer to that average.
That's correct. Yeah, but we added 5% to the average of the population average, I think is what we used. We added 5% to that, and that's how we came up with the,
The average on like, yes,
yeah, that 137, we added 5% to that. And that's
well, that was through negotiation, you know, we started out 7% and through negotiating and talking through it, it's more if we come to the 8.5. So I would look for a motion on resolution 2025-54.
Are you looking for a motion for the number that you will put together, or are you looking for 5% increase from his salary?
I look, it's the recommendation of the labor committee, the number that Melissa gave us. It is just like with the attorney, it was a number we came up with and negotiated. So I'm asking the board their wishes. Or if they need any information. Wishes.
I can't do the recommendation of HR and the personnel committee. I can recommend a 5% increase, like everyone else is getting, except for public commissioners. And that would be my motion.
I do have that number here. 5% would be $140, $17.50.
$40.17. There's been a motion on the for resolution 2025-54 for 140. 1750. Is there a second?
I'll second that motion by Crazy.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded. 35%. Is there any other discussion? Any other clarifications? All right, I'll ask the question then. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
Aye.
Aye.
Harding,
Yes.
Milbrath,
No.
Walter. No. Rosen,
Yes.
Christopherson,
No.
motion failed 3-2.
So we will have to go back to negotiations, correct? Or do we have discussion?
Kind of a unique situation when you have a resolution, ultimately that doesn't move forward. There's nothing that necessarily prevents you from additional action, but yes, your instinct would be correct in terms of the normal protocol is if it fails, that action has already been taken on said resolution. And it would be republished at a future time, pending other discussion that happens in the interim.
All right, there's no other discussion. I'm gonna move on. We'll have to bring this back at a later date.
For the last one, the next one, it's for your salaries. And unfortunately, there was a lot of discussion, but nothing brought forward for recommendation. I think the goal is to kind of discuss it a little bit here. I did provide the commissioners with all the comparable data for the commissioner salaries. And so unless you have any questions for me, I'll just let you guys take that over.
All right. There was no. Guess I'm open to discussion on this also. There's no recommendation by the Labor Committee. Split, I guess. I recommended no change. Commissioner Walter recommends a slight increase to keep up to the averages, or I guess my reasoning, and Walter can state hers, is that I used comparable county data for the sheriff, and I used comparable county data for the attorney. And using those same comparable data for the commissioners, we are slightly above average. So I guess in my recommendation, I would say we need to leave it alone. You'd like to?
We looked at the same data, which you have all seen. I would not be bold enough to suggest that we ought to make any kind of big changes here. I was thinking 1 or 2%. What I want to avoid, this is what I want to avoid. What was it, 3 or 4 years ago? We made a significant adjustment because we were pretty far behind at that point. I, just like with our levy, I don't like up and down and up and down. I would just assume that it is a fairly slight but steady increase. And quite frankly, this isn't about me getting paid more money, but I'm not going to be on the board forever. We need to make sure that what people are paid to do this job at least allows a robust section of our county who has interest in running the ability to do it. Because if there isn't enough compensation, even in this part-time role, we can't get good people to do it, and we want good people to do it. We get to do really good work together, and I want that to continue to happen. But quite frankly, I can be with it. And I'm anxious to hear what the rest of the board has to say.
Mr. Chair.
Go ahead.
I looked over the last 15 years from 2011 through 25. And if you take out, look at the percentages that we went up through the years. And if you add them all up and divide by 15, you come up with a 2.05% average from 2011 through 2025. So to take the peaks and the valleys out, similar to what we do with the levy, we never want to be go too high or, percentage going up. It would be my recommendation to go at a 2% and try to keep that at a 2% instead of going zero for a couple of years and then going as much as 15.2% in 2023. And the year before that was in 22 was 4.03, and then the rest of them were 2.5, 2.13. So I would like to see it more stable in a 2% range looking forward. So that would be my recommendation.
Is there a second to that? Did you say 2%?
2%.
2% increase to commissioner salaries. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second to come up with a number there, Melissa.
I can, it'll be $30,372.54.
So not too fast.
I did $30,372.54.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded to approve resolution 2025-55. Establish annual commissioner salaries at a 2% increase, equating up to $30,372.54. Some discussion.
I'd like to discuss a little bit about the per diem and the chairman's salary. And just a thought that if we even $5 on the per diem, or it's $100 a day, and then a $500 increase on the commissioner's chair position.
That would have to be now a separate motion. For the, unless we amend the motion.
It was just something I was gonna throw out.
And that was discussed at labor, personnel, and decided to leave it alone at this time.
Is that the recommendation of labor?
That would be the
Okay.
recommendation.
All right, I'll leave it go.
But just that point of order, Mr. Chair, the addition for the chair is called out separately on the resolution, so we that clarified it. Included in the motion itself. The purpose of wanting to do so.
Okay, so we gotta go back to the person that made the motion. And are you okay with the 2,000, additional 2,000 for board chair, 2026? And for DM at 95, so I guess we got,
So my motion would be a 2%, going to $30,372.54. Staying at a $95 per diem and a $2,000 for the board chair.
Okay.
That would be my recommendation.
Okay. So we're good.
you just said it in seconds. We moved seconded to amend that motion with the addition of 2,000 for the chair and $95 a day for the Any other discussion? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Aye.
Okay.
No,
No, Brad.
no,
Walter. Yes. Rousey.
Yes,
Christopherson.
No.
Motion fails.
Yeah.
All right.
All right,
Thank you.
we continue.
Mr. Chair. I believe this law states that you have to have yours set before the first of the year, so are you prepared to have an additional meeting? So, because I think that's something the commissioners have to set for the first meeting.
December 30th.
So, we can turn this back to discussion then. Because it needs to be without a special meeting.
But we already had a discussion.
Yeah, but that's not set yet either.
Okay.
So just, if I can clarify quick, Mr. Chair, so there, Robert's rules, parliamentary procedure, you can do a motion to reconsider any action that has been taken, but it has to be, the initial motion to reconsider has to be done by someone in the majority vote of whatever action was taken, if that makes sense. So if something was voted down, the nays would have the majority. The nays would have to make a motion to reconsider first. So it's two separate actions. Motion to reconsider gets approved, then it is though you are drawing something from the proverbial pool that was laid upon at that point in time.
so I make that motion to reconsider.
Okay. You're making a motion to reconsider. Do I have a second? Second to reconsider the vote. Resolution 2025-55. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. So now we will reconsider 2025-55. So I think we need to have a little bit of discussion before we move forward. Preferably from the nays, I suppose. And I guess you guys know where my stance is.
My discussion would be to leave it as is. I make the motion that our salary statements at the 29,777, the chair, commissioner chair gets 2,000, and our per diem stays at 95.
Second. Okay. Then you would second it to leave the commissioner salaries flat. The 29, whatever it was.
Could I get that number specifically?
29,777.
Thank you.
And board chair gets the 2,000 additional and $95 a day per diem. It's been moved by Commissioner Milbreth, second by Commissioner Carter. Is there discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
aye,
Target.
Yes.
No, Brad.
Yes.
Walter.
Yes.
Rousey.
no,
Christopherson.
Yes.
Motion carries 4-1.
All right, now you can sit down.
Thank you.
Before she does, any additional, reconsideration on the previous bill resolution? Is that something you can go back to? Good.
Yes, I can ask that question too, correct? Is there any desire to reconsider the vote? Resolution 2025-54 at this time. Okay, we'll move on then. F, request to schedule public hearing for 2026 county fee schedule.
Yeah, I hope this is a simpler one. Thank you. But only made more complicated because I apparently grabbed the wrong attachment from the previous year and included it in the file. All I'm ultimately requesting is the same thing I request every single year, that you would, at your pleasure, schedule a public hearing to consider changes or adaptations to the fee schedule for the county on your first regular business meeting of your board meeting, January 6th, to be no earlier than 9:30 a.m. This will just have a reprised list. There aren't very many changes, but statutorily, any changes to the countywide fee schedule has to be done after a public hearing has commenced, where the public has the ability to give insight as necessary. So the ask ultimately, Mr. Chair, is the scheduling of a public hearing to consider changes to the 2026 Waseca County fee schedule on January 6th, Tuesday, after 9:30 a.m.
I would make that motion, sure.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, moved by Commissioner Alter, second by Commissioner Milbreath to set public hearing date of January 6, 2026 to go over fee schedule for the county. Is there any other discussion? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right. That's all for the action items. Administration update.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. On behalf of staff, I think I'll turn this back to you for A, B, and C, and staff is ready to stand for any questions you may have. But outside of that, given the time consideration, we'll be happy to waylay any specific updates. We do have a community development update from Tina Wilson in box as well. But apart from that, happy to answer or entertain any questions you may have.
Questions for the administrative staff.
It's a sheet. It's our sheet.
Yeah.
Because of the time constraint here, to give ourselves a couple minute break, I'm going to forego the commissioner reports till next meeting. So I would look for a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Then moved and seconded to adjourn the meeting. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Adjourned. All the Waseca County Board of Commissioners budget and levy hearing to order. If everyone would, well, starters, if you're a guest here, please sign before you leave, sign the guest book before you leave. So we know everybody that's here. Please silence your cell phones and stand for the pledge.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
Great. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for attending the Waseca County Budget Hearing presentation. I'm Doug Christopherson, Waseca County Commissioner and Chair for 2025. We also have our full board in attendance this evening, as well as various department heads and staff from the organization. If you are attending the meeting and specifically have a question regarding your market value, please note that individual valuation questions are not part of this presentation and can be addressed by visiting staff from the assessor's office located just down the hall on the end of that hallway, there's a small conference room where the assessors are located. Additionally, if there are questions regarding information that is not covered this evening, staff present here this evening, including myself, would be happy to take questions after the presentation or set up a phone conversation or meeting as a follow-up. If you have questions about your valuation or classification, they needed to be addressed at the local Board of Appeals equalization meeting in April. Those values were on the valuation notice sent out in March of 2025. The time for challenging them has passed, but you can call the assessor's office at 507-835-0640 to discuss any issues with your value or classification. They cannot be changed for 2026 payable year. The assessor staff can only work on values going forward. With that, I would turn it over to Michael for his presentation.
Thanks, Mr. Chair and members. And at any point as we're moving through this, if you want me to pause and back up and clarify, just let me know. Happy to do that. As was mentioned, the purpose of this meeting is ultimately to focus on budget and tax levy implication, and primarily to give citizens a chance, an opportunity to hear the information, digest the information, and ask any follow-up questions pertinent to the 2026 budgetary program that you may have. And I won't read this statute verbatim, but it's just helpful as a reminder that we're not working arbitrarily here. There's a method to the madness and a process, and this follows what was approved in terms of preliminary levy certification by this board on September 17th of this year as well. And we've been working diligently over the last couple of months to refine that budgetary process between then and now. So several things have shifted. But what has not shifted ultimately is the recommendation staff are bringing forward to this body for approval and consideration. If you look at your tax statement, you'll see a variety of levy authorities or unique taxing areas on it. Waseca County is the only thing we're talking about today. And you'll see I noted the Waseca Library System as a change in 2026. I'll talk a little bit more about that as we advance in slides. So you won't have that separately on your tax statement this year that is being absorbed under the Waseca County line item. But for all intents and purposes, we're not discussing cities, townships, school districts, other special taxing districts, budgets, or levies. That's not the purpose of this meeting. We're really only discussing the Waseca County decisions. So as mentioned, we are required by the end of September every year to have a preliminary budget, and that has been done. A final budget determination, which is the point of this meeting and this hearing, cannot exceed what that proposed or preliminary levy figure was that was approved earlier this year. A large chunk of the county's budget is a derivative or direct derivative of state mandates, statute, state programs that we are statutorily obligated to fulfill, but don't necessarily have a revenue that is commensurate to the cost it takes to fulfill those programs. Our preliminary tax levy in terms of operations, and I'll clarify that a little bit more, in September was a 3% increase over 2025. And why I specifically call it operational is because this gets into our regional library conversation. So since 2016, the Waseca LeSueur Regional Library System has been operating independently as a taxing authority. If you look at your tax statement, they would be a separate line. They would have a separate truth in taxation hearing just like this one, and they would ultimately certify a separate levy similar to this process that we are doing this evening. That is changing for 2026. We discovered ultimately that the Waseca LeSueur Regional Library System cannot operate independently as they have been doing. So really there are exactly two alternatives. One, completely cut library services, or two, move those library services under the authority of Waseca County. So thus far for 2026, the latter is what has been chosen. So that $563,634, that is library cost, is exactly the same as it was in 2025. As part of the preliminary levy setting process, this board determined to hold that levy flat. Well, more conversation happens in conjunction with LeSueur County in the following months to figure out ultimately what should the future of library services look like. So this was an unexpected and not asked for absorption. It is not a small thing to absorb $563,634 under the county program. However, why I differentiate it that way is because those dollars were already included in that tax bill you saw. So why I'm hyper-focused on a 3% operational increase is because that is truly what has increased as far as the county's program, or the ask is, in terms of the operating levy. If you look at just what a levy increase would be for the county from 2025 to 2026, you will see a number that is 6.12%, which is true. However, it includes that portion of the library that has already been included on that tax bill. So the additional 3.12% is not an increase over and above what taxes were in 2025. It was already there. It will already continue to be there without an increase. The only over and above 2025 amount is in fact that 3% operational increase for Waseca County specifically. Hopefully that was as clear as it can be to a confusing months-long conversation. And if not, we can certainly revisit that some more. When we drill down to what property tax rates are, there's really only two numbers that drive the conversation. The tax capacity, which is a derivative of your estimated market value or your taxable market value, ultimately driving down to tax capacity. So a smaller number. Every property has a tax capacity, and that tax capacity number is divided into the total amount of the levy, which yields the property tax rate. That same exact rate is applied to every single property across the county without change. So this is just kind of a quick educational piece there. Really only two major things in that ratio. The levy divided by the tax capacity is always going to yield the rate. Just to note that the increase in our tax capacity from 2025 to what I would still call preliminary tax capacity for 2026, because the assessor's office is still working on some changes. There are still things being finalized on properties towards the end of the year. Maintenance will still continue to happen up until about the beginning of February, where Tammy, I'm sure, will fully lock out her staff so that they can begin calculating those property tax statements. But still good to see some incremental growth in the tax capacity or tax base, you could say, as well. Administration is requesting a preliminary levy, and I'll continue to define between library and non-library because it's more helpful for me to understand, because the library is a new thing. A total request of 6.12%. This actually did go down slightly from the preliminary. The preliminary levy ask was 6.28%. At that point in time, it included an increase for the library. Subsequent to that, the Board of Commissioners determined, no, we're going to hold that library portion flat for 2026. So the amount decreased slightly to 6.12. The 3% operational portion I mentioned earlier did not change at all. The only thing that changed in the subsequent conversations between the preliminary levy approval and today is on the library side. The budget in and of itself, $39,535,614 represents slightly under 1% decrease from the current 2025 operational budget, which is a good thing as well, but it also is a salient reminder and point to the fact that we're losing some revenue. I don't know how else to say that. The state and federal programs are facing some significant challenges, both now and over the next several years. And that will continue to have a very real impact locally, especially in the world of health and human services. We aren't exactly sure what that will look like, quite frankly, in the next subsequent years. But all we do know is that pardon me for a second, somebody's trying to get into the meeting. I think they're able to right now. But what we do know is there are going to be some additional challenges that occur. When and how much we won't actually know until it happens. So it's something we are aware of, but we're already starting to see some of and feel some of those pressures in this 2026 budget setting process. It behooves us to look a little bit at the history of where we came from, where we are going. A lot of that ties back to some of these same statements I've already made. When a state program or law is implemented and expands, oftentimes that means our program and service deliveries expand as a result. Doesn't always happen like that, but it almost always happens in a scenario that is not dollar for dollar. I'm pretty confident in that statement. So over the last 6 years, we have realized a 2.31% average increase in levy, which is an extremely solid number statewide, if not the lowest number statewide. That is also including the additional 3.12% of the library factored into it. If the library wasn't a consideration, it would be closer to 1.78% average tax levy increase over the last 6 years, which is a really phenomenal number if you look comparatively across the state. This is tiny. Sorry about that. I realized that as I was going forward. I could certainly give you a printout of that if that would be helpful. But all this is really doing is giving you a quick snapshot across all of the major department levels in the county, showing the budgetary breakdown and what changed between 2025 and 2026, which ultimately ties down and drills down to here's what the levy implication or demand would be. I won't go through all of that, but just so you know, I'm not misleading anyone. There are actual numbers down there. You can see them. So it just ultimately looks at the full scope of the county program and comes down to a simple scenario that, as I've already communicated to you, would request a 3% operational levy, 6.12 total with that, lost my mouse, with that breakdown of the library, which got added right up here in that program. So all that to say, here's where we were from the preliminary standpoint at a budget of 39.6 and a 19.2 preliminary levy, down to 39.5 and 19.1 in terms of final levy ask, again, inclusive of the library. Just some statistical measure from a preliminary standpoint. With the inclusion of that library, Waseca County would be the 29th lowest preliminary levy with 6.12. Had you removed the library fund from that equation, we would have been the third lowest preliminary levy in the state, the lowest of which, as you see in the bottom, is McLeod at 2.5. There's a 2.5, a 2.6, and then 3. And the lowest of 3 in that skew Interestingly enough, our average is almost identical to the median, which is as close to a perfect bell curve as you can get when you math that out. So across the scope of 87 counties, almost perfectly given distribution on either side of that curve. Creating in a final budget and levy, as discussed. That's just a separate breakdown, a way to see that again across some of those more consolidated major spending categories. This is helpful or different in terms of it shows what the actual budget expenditure is by major program category, offset by the revenues that are generated or received from state or federal partners, grant programs, and special assessments, other things of that nature. So high level summary of all revenues and expenditures at the department level. Similar in scope here, just another way of looking at the information. If you look at that dollar bill as kind of 100% of programming, you see which of those individual funds, which of those individual departments demand those pieces of that dollar or pieces of the pie. If we look at it in a different way, it's just helpful to kind of identify with those categorizations or those names as well in a different format. Pausing on that for a second because I know it's going to skim. Information for me, if you have any follow-up questions, you don't have to wait for this meeting to send me some questions or give me a call. I'm here most every day. Apart from that, Mr. Chair, we do have to facilitate a public hearing to garner any commentary from those in attendance that may have questions on the budgetary program as it is proposed for 2026. And subsequent to that, I would then just ask for your own comments and consideration of resolution 2025-56.
All right, thank you. Administrator Michael Johnson. I will move this now into a public hearing and ask for anyone here that would like to give public comment. Is there anyone here for public comment? Public comment? Public comment. Gotta say it 3 times. So, okay, if no one here is here for public comment, I would look for a motion to close public hearing.
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
Second, Crosby.
Moved by Commissioner Milbreth, second by Commissioner Krause to close the public hearing. Any discussion? Not all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. So then we have question here of approval of 2026 Waseca County budget and levy. And that is resolution 2025-56. Is there motion or comment, discussion for
I will move resolution 2025-56 so that we can have some discussion if we want.
I'll second Art.
Commissioner Malter, second by Commissioner Margaret to approve resolution 2025-56 with a 6.1% or 19 million.
181.6 or 6.12%.
Yes. Is there a discussion?
I guess the first thing I want to do is thank all the staff because it takes all the staff to wisely use the resources of the taxpayers of Waseca County. And I know at the beginning stages, they are all, well, in fact, throughout all the stages, they're heavily involved in trying to figure out the best way to use taxpayer money to do the most good work that we are required to do as a government here in Waseca County. special thanks to our administrator because he then draws it all together and turns it into all the math stuff for us. And it does take everybody using resources wisely to be able to have incremental and relatively small levy increases over many years and still have the resources to do the things that we need to do as local government. All the way from public health to highways, got to do it all. I also want to call out the non-levy revenue. Like, as we know, there's a slight decrease, and we can anticipate in the next few years that there will be bigger decreases as state government runs into more budget constraints and as the federal government does what it does. But another thing that our staff does very well is going after those state and federal dollars, discretionary dollars, grant funding, that helps us do more with less local dollars here. And it's been fun and exciting to watch our staff really do good work in that area and make sure that Waseca County has a chance to bring some of those state and federal dollars back here to be used, because we're paying them in taxes. We might as well bring some of them, our fair share, back here to be used. And I appreciate that.
Thank you. I guess I would echo a lot of what Commissioner Malter just said. I would always like to be lower, but we know the Waseca County is healthy, but we're not over healthy. But we're a healthy county. We've been frugal with our money and tried to get the most out of our taxpayer money. And we want to continue to always look for ways to run the programs that we have in front of us or need to provide to our citizens as efficiently as we can. We've got a lot coming at us in the next few years, and there's always challenges, but we will continue to try to work for our constituents in the best way we can. Is there any other comment? Then I will ask the question. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. That is all on our agenda. Before we adjourn, I want to say thank you to everyone for allowing me to chair the board this year. I've enjoyed it. It's always an adventure, and we have great staff here in Waseca County that makes it easier. And I'd like to wish everyone a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and God bless your families through the season. With that, I would look for a motion to adjourn. So moved. Is there a second? Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
We need this one to one get this out here. We didn't make those open to.